day, everybody. This is kind of a very poor example of feeding hay, in my opinion. And I'll go ahead and admit this was me that did this. I wanted to use this as an example. I don't know that I'm going to call this a mistake because this was on purpose and I knew this would happen. But this right here is the reason why I'm very strategic about where I feed my hay if I can be. I try to put it in places that don't have a lot of good grass in it, that need a lot of work or need some seed, or even out in the brush in places and things like that. And this is the reason why. But before I tell you any more about that, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the reason why, of course, I did this and made this mistake, in my opinion. The very simple reason is just simply because as farmers, sometimes you get in a bind and you have no choice. So they're in this pasture right here, and this number 8 cow right there, she doesn't look the best. She's a heifer. She just had a calf, and she was not supposed to have a calf at all. I mean, we put the bull on her 6 months ago, and she just had a calf. Good looking calf. She doesn't look as good as I'd like her to look, but she's a heifer. She's losing her teeth. She just had her first calf. She's a little young, so that's just kind of how it is. I guess the guy I bought her from had somehow a bull got in the pen or something like that. Whatever the case may be, things happen and your plans change sometimes, whether you like it or not. So because of that, I didn't want to move them out of this pasture just yet, because where they would have been going is in here. It's just kind of a really bad spot. Generally, I don't bring calves in there, young calves, if I don't have to. It's kind of hard to get them out of there and stuff like that. So I ended up leaving them, long story short, I guess, I ended up leaving them in this pen a little bit longer than I would prefer to leave them. Well, then I had trouble with a little bit of trouble with my four-wheeler, with one of my four-wheelers, and then the other one was on loan. And I still had to feed him hay. So this gate right here was the only gate that I could get in at the moment to feed him, and I couldn't bring my truck in there. So, I mean, sounds like a lot of excuses. It kind of is. I don't have a tractor, so I had to bring my truck up to the side of there, and I rolled it down in there. Not the end of the world. Some people, that's all they would ever do, is things like that. But this is what my point I wanted to bring is this is why I don't like to do that, because this is what happens. We live in a part of the world where we get a lot of water and during the winter, so everything stays pretty wet and mucky. So I like to be careful where I'm putting my hay. I put this here last night. I mean, so it hasn't even been there that long, and you see what they did to the ground right there. I'm gonna see if I can view in with my camera. Overnight they turned it into a mud pit. Okay, that means that's something they have to walk in. That's something I've got to drive through. But also, I noticed that when that happens, it tends to upset the root structure very badly. So if this was nothing but weeds, I don't know that would be such a bad thing. But because that's good quality grass there and it's good forage, it's not something I want to happen. So next year, there's liable to be a patch of weeds right there. And there's a good chance that in the beginning of the year, we won't get any good summer grass growth there at all, because they may have killed it out. Now, since it's only one time, and I haven't done it again, and I will not do it again, got my four-wheeler back and everything, I won't have that problem. But the point is, I just wanted to make that point about this, about being careful, you know, feeding your hay, but about where you're feeding your hay, especially if you live in a somewhat of a wet climate during the winter time, because this is the kind of thing that can happen. And a lot of people, like I said, they don't consider it that bad. But I really do, because I see the downfall that comes for the next year, for next summer. Plus, if you continued, some people would continue to feed them right there in a ring, and they would just feed them over and over and over and over again right there. Well, then you're exposing your cattle to you're giving them chances of foot rot, and you're giving them all kinds of things. That's not good for them. And you know, people, they get by with it because they give their cows a lot of medicine, a lot of this and a lot of that. And I'm not against medicating if you have to do it. But I see it like I see going to the doctor. And I, you know, of course I can't advise you about any of that. So, you know, full discretion, don't take any of my advice. But personally, the way I personally see it is, I see it like going to the doctor. I think it shouldn't be the first thing on your list to go and medicate your cows right off the bat. You know, continually. Well, I'm gonna just graze them in mud, and I'll and then I'll just give them medicine. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't treat for foot rot if they have that or anything like that. All I'm saying is maybe you should. I like to take a precautionary step first to try to keep them from getting sick or keep them from having any problems. I like to make it where they are healthy in the beginning, and then if they had to have medicine or they had to have something, then after that, then you analyze and decide what you need to do. The point is you know, take care of your cattle, take care of your animals, and take care of your land. Like this, I want to try to take care of my land is what I want to do. This old girl, this is a good mama right here. She's coming up to say howdy. Anyway, I don't want to drag this video out, guys. I just wanted to point this out, a little bit of a mistake on my end, problem, whatever you want to call it. Probably could have been fixed if I would have had a tractor, but if I would have brought a tractor in there, I would have still had ruts. So I don't know how you really look at that. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. The reason why I put so many videos out there about being careful where you're feeding your hay and trying to feed it in places where it's beneficial to you and not doesn't create havoc like this. So thanks everybody. Have a good day.